Okay, so I kind of bungled that last week where reading comments, I realized that, yeah, I definitely was not really in the right head space, I guess, when I was watching, because, like, I don't know, I think I was sick, and I think I'm still coming off of it. But, yeah, there were things that I probably should have talked about last week that were fun and interesting, and I just never got around to. So, for the record, here's a couple of things that I wish I had said last week, but didn't get to. So, I'm loving Evil Tomoyo. Her reaction to Kero failing to film properly is great, but I think part of that's on you, Tomoyo. Why don't you just give Kero the remote to the drone instead of gluing a camera to its head? The meeting of Shaoran and Kaito is probably more significant than I give it credit for, and the history of the Mage Guild, or I call it the Mage Guild, but we really don't know too much about the whole English magicians thing. That is or is not actually like going to be more significant, but yeah, the implication that Yuna is associated with a league of magicians, and yeah, that is kind of significant. So for what it's worth, yeah, I probably should have given the episode a little more credit for being not necessarily a complete nothing episode, just it certainly wasn't a big one. Okay, so now let's talk about this episode, or rather, I haven't watched it yet, so this is the sports episode, the icy sports ball episode, which, again, the toys seem to have spoiled that this will be a hail card, which is interesting. It's another weather card, because we've had rain, and we've had snow, we've had cloud, a mist card, even though that had literally nothing to do with mist. So now we're going to have a hail card. That's great. Are we going to get a sunny day card at some point? We're going to have a whole Pokemon roster. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it, and it is my understanding that this is the last episode before the series takes a slight break over the next weekend. There's going to be like the Sakura birthday celebration and such, so it is my understanding that there is no episode next week, but let's find out. I can't snap. I can't snap properly with it. You know what? Well, wasn't that fun? Actually, that was a great improvement over last week because things happened. Lots of things happened. Things that, strictly speaking, I'm not necessarily surprised by, but I liked the pacing of this episode for the most part. Once it got past the first few minutes, which admittedly, like the family moments and watching Sakura once again be late for school. These are all nice callbacks. These are all nice, refreshing things. But then we get to school and they do the sports thing, which really isn't that much of the day, to be honest. Like, it's not like last series or the original series where we had an entire day devoted to the sports festival. This time we just had like 5 minutes of Sakura being really good at basketball, and then Shaoran and Akiho having their badminton thing, which is something that I actually knew about before watching this episode, and it just didn't really feel the need to comment on it because, yeah, just like the screenshots, the episode match didn't really amount to anything. They did get that tie that Sakura wanted, though, because they got interrupted by hail, which is a cool card in principle, especially considering that it's just little ice bullets that go around. And interesting thing about hail is that I think, as far as this series goes, this is the first one where Sakura wasn't able to say, or she wasn't able to read the card properly. Like, she could read the English part, but when it went up to the kanji, Hihisui, I think is what, Hihyosi? Hihyo is what the character up top said. So, yeah, that was interesting. Like, but they commented on that like earlier that like the kanji on top of the cards is getting more complicated. So we ran into one that Sakura can't pronounce properly. Although, to be honest, I want to go back and look at Gravitation, see if this is just an anime-only card thing where she just can't read the anime-only cards. Gravitation's a pretty complicated word too. Now I want to find out what it was. What else is there to talk about in this episode? So we got a little bit of Akiho development with this one, since we saw Akiho revealing... This is the episode where Akiho reveals that she has been dreaming about standing in a high place and seeing someone and wanting something. And it's been pretty obvious that Akiho is the cloaked figure, which is not actually confirmed in the manga yet. I don't know that 100%. It's pretty obvious. There's an advantage in the anime that the manga doesn't have. Like near the end of this episode where she's confronting, where Sakura and the cloaked figure are having a confrontation, the cloaked figure actually speaks, a thing that doesn't happen in the manga, and you can hear a female voice, which I'm pretty sure is Akiho's. It's pitched a little bit, so I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, that's an advantage that doesn't exist. I left my alarm on. Good job, me. What else is there to talk about in this episode? I'm not going to harp on the animation like I usually do, other than to praise the Hail animation, because Hail was cool. Oh, this is the episode where, just like the anime introduced Xiaoran's battle costume ahead of schedule as far as the manga is concerned, this episode introduces Xiaoran's newer spell. Actually, it's technically introducing it late, because in the manga he pulled out some kind of weird spell against Spiral, whereas in the anime he just used a new for him, but still based on the same magic, ice spell. This time he actually used some mysterious new thing to amp up his fire spell. So that's interesting. Like it makes sense that Xiaoran should be learning new magic. I don't really see why, in either the manga or the anime, why he's hiding his new magic. Like, he was a magic kid before Sakura. You think that he would learn things and that he'd be fine showing it off, but presumably it's because the magic comes from a source that he's not allowed to talk about yet. So that is the only reason why I feel like he would be hiding his magic from Sakura right now. Beyond that, I liked this costume. I actually kind of really like these Tomoyo costumes that are just like, she doesn't do a full costume, she just does a coat. So like she did the frog coat. Now she's doing she did like the ice wing coat, which is cool. But it's surprising that it didn't have a hood, really. You would think that it would have a hood. Or, in this particular case, should probably have had a helmet. One last thing that should probably be mentioned, at the very least, is, and this is another thing that isn't in the manga, at the end of the episode, Sakura notes how tired Kero is. Like, he actually went straight to bed, which is not something that Kero ever does. It implies that Kero is exhausting himself for running out of energy or something. And see, in the Sakura arc, Yue had that problem because his magic was tied to Sakura and she couldn't support him. But Kero had said that he doesn't have that problem because he runs on his own battery. But this time, if maybe it's just a one-off thing, maybe I'm reading too into it, but if for some reason the Guardians don't have energy in the anime for some reason, then who knows? Maybe their power is weakening too. But I don't know. Based on where the manga is going, I don't think that's a story thread, but it might be an anime only thing. Like the anime and the manga in the original series told slightly different stories, and I don't know how much they're going to diverge. So okay, next week's episode. So actually, I know I said like there might be a break, but it's not a break. What it's going to be is a recap episode. And they're using the excuse of Mei Ling is showing up, yay! For the record, I don't really like recap episodes. I think they're lazy. But I suppose we're going to get the fan base's Mei Ling fix, and I can think of worse reasons to have a recap episode. Just bring in an anime-only character for one episode and be like, let me tell you about all the things that have been happening, and then roll clips. She uses the record card for that, but the record card wasn't used for a lot of the things. But, you know, the manga just recently revealed that record can play things that it was never present for. And when I get that video up, you'll know what I'm talking about. I meant to have it, but I left my microphone somewhere else that isn't here. And I don't have anything proper to record with. But yeah, that's next week's episode. That is a clip show sort of episode. So presumably I'll still check in for it, but I don't know how long that episode's going to be because there isn't too much to talk about with a clip show episode. I don't know. But that's the Hail episode. Next week is Sakura's birthday. I think there are some online things that are happening for that, and I'll try and watch them. I watched the one last year, so I'm going to try and watch that. One last announcement. I do have a Twitter now. I always had a Twitter, but I'd never really used it properly. So now I have a Twitter. I will put it in the description, but it is CCM_Yamato. That's Cardcaptor Museum, CCM_Yamato. I'd use the CCYamato, but it turns out all the variations of that are already used. I'm not nearly as original as I thought I was. But yeah, the link for that will be in the description, and I'll be getting the Chapter 21 out soon. I was considering merging it with Chapter 22 because it's so late, but it's just so late in the month now at this point that I think I'm just going to go ahead and do it as is. So thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye.